All right, guys. Jameson, Alex here, bringing you the third and final of the Tal'dorei Campaign Setting.
The non-updated.
Yes, because we already covered the Cobalt Soul one,
Yes.
which has been updated on D&D Beyond recently. So, with that being said, today we're talking about the Runechild Sorcerer.
Which is, to me, definitely the most interesting and unique of the three. Blood Cleric is a unique flavor of Cleric, but it's still very much Cleric, where this feels uniquely different from all the other Sorcerers.
Yes. And if you are familiar with Campaign 1 of Critical Role, Gilmore
His Glorious
was
Goods.
a Runechild Sorcerer in that as well.
Which is great, because I never knew that until we started going over the subclass.
Going into this, if you're new to the channel or to the subclass series, what we're going to do is go over all the abilities gained in this subclass, and we're going to rate it based on its roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities gained in this subclass improve on the base class abilities. Also, we'll have a giveaway for the D&D Beyond Players Bundle.
Free stuff.
So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to be entered for a chance to win that as well.
$4.
Let's just jump straight into it. Alex, what do we get as a Runechild Sorcerer?
We get Essence Runes, and that's what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Essence Runes. You begin with 1 Essence Rune, and gain additional rune whenever you gain a level in this class. Runes manifest anywhere on your body, but the first one usually manifests on your forehead. Next one could be on your pinky, might be on your kneecap. I don't know, have fun with it. They can manifest anywhere. The first one on your forehead. They remain invisible when they are inert. When you actually go to, when they're charged, and they start glowing, and you're like this glowing tattoo person. That'd be kind of fun. At the end of your turn, when you've spent any number of sorcery points, that many runes are now charged runes.
There you go.
If you expend a charge rune to use one of your Rolechild features, it returns to being an inert essence rune. So it's a chargeable source of thing that you spend it. It's back off. You still have it, but it's off. It's a battery you have used it to charge.
There you go.
As a bonus action, you can spend any number of sorcery points to convert any number of essence runes into charge runes. If you have no sorcery points and no charge runes, you can convert a single essence rune into a charge rune as an action. So if you have none, and you have no sorcery points to convert into them, you can do 1. So you basically saying you can always have access to 1.
Right.
If you have 5 or more charge runes, you emit a bright light. 5-foot radius and dim light for additional 5 feet. After that, any charge runes revert to inert essence runes after you complete a long rest. Whew.
Yeah, so a lot going on there with that. It's kind of essentially you're getting a secondary system as a sorcerer.
Yeah, so you got sorcery points over here, and you got your runes over here.
Yeah, and they both scale as you level up.
Yes.
You're gonna have the number of essence runes and the number of sorcery points equal to your level.
Base your sorcery level.
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind here, just to want to make sure we don't overgloss this, is that you get the charged runes at the end of your turn if you use a sorcery point.
Yes, not the same turn you spend.
If you use a bonus action, you can immediately charge them.
Yes.
So that's something to keep in mind. So you're like, why would I ever just use a bonus action to charge them? Because you get it immediately.
If you really need to use it right then, or if you really make sure you've got one, that's how you get it.
Yes. Then, also at level 1, we get Glyphs of Aegis.
So you actually know what you're going to spend these things on.
Yes. Whenever you take damage from an attack, hazard, or spell, you can use a reaction to expend any number of charged runes, rolling 1d6 per charged rune. You subtract the total rolled from the damage inflicted by the attack, hazard, or spell. At 6th level, you can use an action to expend a charged rune, temporarily transferring a Glyph of Aegis to a creature you touch. A creature can hold only a single glyph, and it lasts for 1 hour or until the creature is damaged by an attack, hazard, or spell. The next time that creature takes damage from any of those sources, roll 1d6 and subtract the number rolled from the damage roll. Right. The glyph is then lost. Yeah, so just a way to mitigate some damage as a sorcerer, as you do have a smaller hit point pool.
Yes.
Being a caster, and the lack of armor definitely.
Yeah, not light armor, lack of armor. Yeah. No AC for you. At level 6, you have 2 abilities. First off being Sigillic. We're going to go with Sigillic Augmentation.
It's Sigil.
It's Matt Mercer. Sigil, yeah. Sigillic Augmentation. He really likes his fun words in this book, doesn't he?
I think he's trying to make fun of everyone that made fun of him.
Probably.
He's trying to make these really complicated.
I was like, I've literally never seen that word written down ever before. I was like, wait a minute, okay, this. Okay, so that, at level 6, you can channel your runes to temporarily bolster your physical capabilities. You can spend a charged rune as a bonus action to enhance either your strength, dexterity, or constitution, granting you advantage on ability checks with the chosen ability score to the start of your next turn. You can choose to maintain this benefit additional rounds, expending additional charged rune for each of the following turns. So if you're going to make a dexterity ability check, you can spend a bonus action, so you can do it right there in the moment to enhance your elusiveness. Also, at level 6, you have Manifest Inscriptions. You can reveal hidden glyphs and enchantments that surround you. As an action, you can spend a charged rune to cause any hidden magical marks, runes, wards, or glyphs within 15 feet of you to reveal themselves with a glow for 1 round. This glow is considered dim light for a 5-foot radius around the mark or glyph. So basically, if somebody's got some magical traps hidden, investigating around, or maybe other magical items, things like that, you can make them glow and make them obvious. Right. Kind of like a more powerful detect magic. It's not just doing a magical item.
Reveals it to everyone.
Reveals it to everyone instead of just yourself.
Yeah, it should come into play for some RP scenarios for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Then we have Runic Torrent at level 14. Channel your stored runic energy to instill your spells with overwhelming arcane power. Essentially, whenever you cast a spell, you can expend a number of charged runes equal to the spell's level to allow it to ignore any resistance or immunity to the spell's damage type that the targets may have. So that way, if you want to cast a big ol' spell on something and it's resistant or immune to your biggest spell,
especially if it's immune to it,
then you just say, nope, I'm going to cast this big spell and it's going to hurt you anyways.
Figure Death's going to hurt you anyway. I don't care if you a lich and you immune to necrotic damage, you can just go ahead and suck it. No, you suck it, Sean. That's a good reference.
Level 18, we have our capstone ability, which is the Arcane Exemplar form. As a bonus action, you can expend 6 or more charged runes to temporarily become a being of pure magical energy.
So many runes.
The new form lasts for 3 rounds, plus 1 additional round for each charged rune you expend over 6. While you are in the exemplar form, you gain the following benefits. You have a flying speed of 40 feet. Your spell save DC is increased by 2. You have resistance to damage from spells. When you cast a spell of first level or higher, you regain hit points equal to the spell's level. When the Arcane Exemplar form ends, you can't move or take actions until after your next turn, as your body recovers from the transformation. Once you use this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. So it's a once-a-day feature. You're kind of like a paladin. You just get a big old ability that you can use, but it's for 3 rounds.
It's only for 3 rounds?
It's very expensive, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. So, all that being said, those are the abilities gained in the subclass.
That's all of them.
We'll move on to the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay value asterisk. As always, when talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background, that's on you as a player. Can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in this subclass and how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios. So, all that being said, looking at the abilities on here, getting the ability check bonus to your strength, dexterity, or constitution ability checks can definitely come into play in the roleplay scenario.
You win the drinking contest, need them constitution checks.
Or you're trying to pick a lock or something. I mean, you'd be able to do a quick sleight of hand.
You don't have that rogue in your party.
Or a
you got to do something.
check or something, Or strength. Maybe you just need to show off, lift something, or push something out of the way. There's always
trying to arm wrestle the barbarian in your group.
Right. you always have to do that. If you have the ability to beat the barbarian at a strength contest, you have to.
You got to go for it.
And then being able to identify magic items and make them visible to everyone can definitely come into play for the RP. I mean, there's maybe some niche uses with the Glyph of Aegis. Potentially, I mean, giving it to someone to maybe help protect that small amount of damage prevention could save a standard NPC. Like just a little normal person, they don't have much health, so being able to reduce that by 1d6 could save their life, potentially.
It could.
So something to keep in mind, especially at lower levels. And the other thing on here is with the Essence Runes, they are primarily focused towards combat, just because, I mean, you're overcoming resistances for damage types, but, I mean, and reducing damage from things, so there's not really a whole lot. I'm almost a little disappointed with the potential that this had with the Essence Runes, because there's just not a whole lot going on with them on the RP side. So we just went with a 2.5 on the RP.
Yeah.
There are some niche uses that could definitely come up, but there's just not. I feel like there's a missed opportunity here in the RP side of things.
We'll give that idea when we get to the synergy part later.
Yes.
Also, on the combat side of things, do a little bit better again because there's more of a focus on the combat. Of course, reducing damage not only for yourself but for another party member is never a bad thing because in 5th edition D&D, as someone who mains a cleric, and I emphasize this, you can't out-heal the damage coming in. If you can prevent it ahead of time, it's much more efficient. So, wizards and sorcerers, use the shields. it's better. So this allowing you to prevent damage also very, very, very nice. The Mana Fest Inscription is primarily an RP thing, but there are some magical runes and things that are traps that cause like explosive damage and things if it's placed in places. So you being able to see that before you get and you step on something and set it off could technically save health for combat. So that's helpful.
Indirect.
And then Runic Torrent allowing you to get around resistance or immunity can be very good because if your best, biggest, fattest damaging spell is a certain damage type and the thing you're fighting is forget resistant but immune to it.
That's rough.
Let's go and it's like or if you really want to twin cast it over here, but one thing is you've got a really cool level 4 spell that you want to pop something with, but you want to hit both of them and this guy's immune to it and this guy takes regular damage from it. You're like, I really want to make sure I can hit both if I twin cast it. So it lets you to make sure you can get most out of what you got. But again, it's the cost is you have to spend the number of runes per the spell's level.
Right.
I really wish that was just a flat, like, it costs you 3.
Yeah.
Or if it was maybe half the spell's level rounded up.
Right.
That would be a little bit, because then it feels like you're having to spend more power to use your more powerful spells, and you're already having to use a higher spell slot to cast a bigger spell anyway.
Right.
And then finally, your exemplar form. I love the ability. It feels like a paladin capstone because you're getting to fly. But the unique thing of bringing up your spell save DC, love that because that sticks out as very unique. Yep. Resistance to spell damage, again, feels like a paladin again.
Yeah, right.
And also basically life gain on spells, also very fun.
Yes.
My only complaint about this is that it's 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Well, I lied. There's 2, and how much it costs to do it. Because if it's only going to last for 3 rounds, really wish it didn't cost you 6 runes to do.
Yeah, right.
If it's going to cost you 6, it should just last a minute. Because, again,
that's a lot.
Paladin capstones last a minute. They don't cost you anything. Now, granted, that you're getting that at 20 versus 18, but it's still your capstone, and theirs last for a minute and doesn't cost them another resource that they're using with other things. Right. Yes, you can get more of your resources back, because you can convert spell slots into sorcery points into essence runes.
It's technically using 2 resources because it's sorcery points to get the essence runes and then essence runes to get the thing.
Yeah.
So
there's some interesting ways that you have to kind of plan around and spend things wisely. So it's cool that you get more uses for your sorcery points as you can pump sorcery points into essence runes, but it's also kind of counterproductive because you feel like maybe you can't use your sorcery points for abilities as much, but when you do use them for your abilities, you do get the essence runes, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
And score-wise, of course, this is we're going to get there eventually. We gave it a 3 out of a possible 5. Primarily again, to reiterate, shortened version is we would like to see either you be able to get more essence runes more often and have more uses of them, or for the cost of your what takes your essence rune resource cost to not be as expensive.
Right.
Because you get 20 sorcery points per day. So, if you use them all, you're going to have access to 20 of the runes, but the immunity might cost you 5 just to cast that level 5 spell to get around the damage, and then you pop your final thing once. Half your sorceries, half your runes are gone for the day if they're charged.
Right.
And they may not be charged. So if you haven't already spent enough runes, enough sorcery points to get the charged runes.
It's definitely a little awkward. I'll kind of kick off the synergy talk with keeping the same thread of thought here.
Yeah.
I think one of the weird things on here is why are there even essence runes? Like, to me, the question is why is this additional thing even on here? Why isn't it just giving you additional uses for sorcery points?
No.
Or why isn't it just you get X? I mean, this was before like Tasha's and stuff, so the X number of uses per
proficiency bonus
kind of thing could definitely come into play with this as well.
I agree.
Like, you could, I don't know. I like the concept for sure.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that you could do to this, the best way that it could be done if it was reworked.
This is probably the best idea I've heard from him in a long time.
Is if you reworked it to be like the Rune Knight Fighter, so you have lots of different options and you can choose which ones you want versus being locked into these here, because some of these can definitely be pretty lackluster, especially if you're not really trying to detect magical traps or things like that. Yeah. But it's also the magical traps, but it's within 15 feet. So you have to be standing really close to the trap to detect it, which is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Could come into play on that.
Yeah, I would like that range to be a little bit bigger, only 30 feet.
But yeah, with the exemplar form, it's definitely very powerful. The 3 rounds is a little awkward.
Because it costs you 6 runes.
Yeah.
That's a 30 of runes at that point.
It is very powerful. It's hard to gauge the value of that as well. I mean, I guess the thought with it is that you're basically getting these charged runes for free as you play your sorcerer, right? Because you're going to be using sorcery points anyways. Mm-hmm. So it's just this additional benefit on top of that.
But if this is your first combat of the day, you cannot open combat with the exemplar form,
right?
Because you haven't spent enough sorcery points to generate the charges. Now you can probably on turn 2 if you really want to, because you
can bonus action charge yourself.
You can.
With a bunch of them, but then you're using a big chunk of sorcery points and not getting the benefit of the sorcery points.
Correct.
So it's a high risk kind of thing on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really need to, you can just pump it. It's like 13 sorcery points. Ouch. It's like a ton of your sorcery points.
Yep.
But you can always convert spell slots into sorcery points as well.
If you really need to.
Really need to get clutch.
The other option I think that we discussed with the runes would be if it was kind of like an invocation, like with warlocks.
Yeah.
If you could pick, kind of
in that same vein as the Rune Knight, where you have options to pick
you got all the different options to pick from to buff other things, and like the Glyph of Aegis could be a choice.
Right.
It could be a function you get out of it. If you pick, this one, it does this, and you could pick X number of
or even if it, like Totem Barbarian, where you get multiple choices per level, that kind of thing. I mean, that would be...
Just giving it more options, more versatility. Again, and either get your runes more often, or make the cost of spending them not so severe, because you can spend them so fast and then have
very little reward if you're not using the exemplar form. Like reducing some damage, sure, but you have to use a lot of those to reduce any significant amount of damage.
And of course, every damage is significant to a sorcerer because you have no health. But score-wise, we did go with the 4.
Yes.
Because it does play directly with the only thing sorcerers get, spell slots and sorcery points.
Right. It gives you additional benefits for using those sorcery points as well, because you're just getting free essence charges. So
for doing things you would be doing with your base class anyway.
Right.
So that part is the part we do love about this.
Yes.
In fact, it does stand out as a very unique way to play. That definitely feel, and I said that's something I'd make the comment of in all these videos when reviewing new subclasses, because at this point, if I'm doing my math right, we're at 127 different subclasses we have reviewed. I think at this point, or very close to that, and 125 plus for sure.
Yeah.
Is that if we're going to have a new subclass in the game, a new base class, when they decided to add Artificer officially, it needs to feel like it's doing something that the other subclasses for that base class don't do in terms of flavor, in terms of mechanics, for it to feel like it's worth being there. Otherwise, you're just putting something out there to put something out there.
Right.
And this definitely feels unique compared to all the other sorcerers. And
I think, and we've kind of me and Alex have discussed this amongst ourselves a little bit, is there's kind of, I call it the Matt Mercer syndrome, where he's so criticized or critiqued by so many people that he doesn't want to make anything overpowered. So he steers in the opposite direction and makes things undertuned.
I think he plays it super safe.
Yeah, plays it a little bit, makes it a little bit on the weaker side, just so that he doesn't get hounded. Like, well, why did you do this and this and that and that and this? And he doesn't want to have.
And anybody who's watched the first campaign saw what absolute good luck of Taliesin had playing the gunslinger. Like the amount of like absolute absurd things he did, because he was super lucky in like a lot of scenarios, which. Yeah. There's nothing you can do about that with the DM if you got somebody who just loves to roll nat 20s all the time.
Yeah, right.
And vice versa for your play group if somebody likes to roll nat 1s like our bard does in our play group.
And a rogue always rolls 20s. It's very strange.
Yeah. They offset each other, trust me. Because everything goes really well or really poorly for us lately.
You get in the mid-upper teens, things get very scary very quickly.
We're either mashing stuff or like, we might TPK this fight. Cool. But that's I think after Gunslinger was like seen and saw it, I think that may have made him a little bit gun shy. It's like, oh,
no pun intended.
Pun completely intended. I was like, okay, I don't want to let this happen again. But it's like you can't luck whatever. But
Right.
the Runechild is very interesting and flavor wise. But I would love to see it. Maybe they will do a revised version of it
I'd be very
in the
interested.
new book and see them expand on it, just give it more choices and play with the resource cost.
If there were any of these that would be reworked, I imagine it would be the Runechild because it's so iconic with Gilmore and everything. With that, I think that would definitely be a good prime.
Because they've already reworked Cobalt Soul once.
And I think that there could be multiple other. I'm not gonna no spoilers for anything, but I think there could be other blood themed subclasses in the next book as well. So
I mean, well, they've already done the whole Blood Hunter base class, so
yes.
Matt may need to go to therapy if he's about all this blood this and blood that.
Who knows?
But then again, if you see the people he has to work with on a regular basis, you'd understand.
Yeah, I guess.
Sam.
Yes. So, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Always love to read your comments.
Yes.
We got more stuff planned, so stay tuned. If you have any maybe popular or, I don't know, very interesting subclasses that are maybe on DM's Guild or something, make sure you send those to us.
Yeah.
We will put those up for consideration as well.
We
We have
do-
a few already planned.
There are two more for sure we do have planned. There are two, we won't, again, no spoilers, but there are two base class with subclasses we kind of already have planned to do next. But after that, we are always looking for more suggestions of what you guys want to watch, because if you're not going to watch it, why would we do it?
That's right. As always, thanks for watching.